Okay, in this video, I'm going to show how to do an EPANet layout for a distribution system. Here we have a system called Mutyambua. We have our completed KMZ file, and this system is a phase 1 layout. So this is the core of a distribution scheme that will later expand to many more villages. And that's something important to keep in mind when doing your EPANet layout. In this video, you can see this KMZ has an original design, and then we added 2 additional kiosks to this. I'm going to first just do the EPANet for the original design, and then after that I will show how I would modify the system to add the additional kiosks as well. This system will also hopefully in the future become a system with many household connections, and that's another thing we want to keep in mind when we're making our EPANet layout. So let's open EPANet. So here I have a fresh, clean model or a clean space in which to build my EPANet distribution model. First thing I'm going to do is change my background. I recommend a black background or at least a gray background. All right, so a black background. And a couple other things I always do is change node size to 4. It just makes it easier to edit your nodes and move your nodes, which is very important. And then I'll change notation to 9 or 10, and then display node values, display link values. And I think those are all the changes I would make. So the key here is to make your EPANet model look like your KMZ. This is very critical when you want to have your EPANet model reviewed. It makes it very easy for someone to review and understand the EPANet model if it looks like the KMZ. And also if you want to make edits, or somebody else wants to make edits, or somebody in the future wants to make edits to this model, if it looks the same as the KMZ, it makes it very easy to edit. And it doesn't have to be exact, but it should take the same shape as your KMZ. As you see, the tank is down here. So we want our tank to be on the right side of our screen. You can change the orientation of the system if it helps make your EPANet model easier to fit in the rectangular shape of a window. But in this case, the north orientation of the layout already nicely fits into a rectangular window. So we're not going to change the orientation, which means the tank I want to start on the bottom right side of my screen. Now, before I start, and this is very important, as I said, this system is going to be expanded in the future. And so the EPANet model is going to cover a much larger area than just this original layout for phase 1. So, and EPANet has limits to how far you can zoom out to have more space to expand things. So, for instance, if I have a tank and a branch to 2 different places, and I draw that here in EPANet, I can zoom in on this system by clicking this plus. I can zoom in again. I can zoom in again. But I can only zoom out back to my original space. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Okay, here's my original space. And I can't zoom out anymore. So what happens if I want to expand this system? Well, I can still do it in Epanet in this file, but now I have to pan and use the pan feature to move my system and add more nodes, more branches. And now when I want to see my whole system, I can't. It can't fit. My whole system can no longer fit in my space, in my model space. And it would be preferable to, when you're fully zoomed out, your whole system fits. So here's what you can do. Start your system. Maybe put a tank in to start with. And build your original system on a much smaller area. But don't use the whole area for original system. And the easy way to do that is go ahead and zoom in at the beginning. Just zoom in right at the center of your screen. Right there. Okay? And in this case, I'm going to zoom in twice because you can see the future area is much larger than the phase 1 area. And now my tank is at the bottom right hand of my screen. I've zoomed in twice, and in the KMZ, the tank is at the bottom right hand. So this is a good place to start. And now I build an Epanet model that takes the same shape as my KMZ file. So I'm going to move this KMZ file over to my other screen so that I can look at it while I build my Epanet file. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'll zoom in a little bit in the KMZ on this area so I can see that and make it look similar to Epanet. So have my tank. The first thing the tank does is it goes to the ground. So we need a pipe that goes down to the ground. I like to do a straight pipe down to the ground. It looks nice. It shows that the tank is elevated a little bit, and the pipe coming out of the tank goes straight into the ground, and that's where it begins branching with your underground pipes. So the first branch, it begins going over, then it branches down and branches to the left. So you have a small pipe over, and then you have some branches down. There's a tap here. There's a tap over and down. And then there's another tap over to the left. So that covers the 3 taps in here. So now that I increase my node size to 4, it's a lot easier to click on the nodes instead of accidentally missing them when they're too small. And you can see this shape is similar to this shape, and now I can kind of adjust a few things to make sure it looks very similar. You don't have to make it look exactly right. It's just, in general, it should take the same shape. I just want to make this a little skinnier. This is the first tap. It's much closer up. And the good thing is I'm zoomed in 2 times. So I know I have plenty of space outside this model if I need to use it. Okay. Now I'm going to add the actual taps. One thing I'm going to do with these taps, I'm going to represent the actual tap with a valve only. And that's really going to help my model. It's going to help make space for other things in my model than using so much space with tap stands. So the only difference is if you're coming off of a main, you should add a little pipe branch, because there's always a small pipe that comes off of a main before you get to your tap. If you're just at the end of a branch already, you can just add the tap valve. So I'm at the end of a branch already, just add the tap valve. Okay, so that looks similar to my KMZ, and now I can work on this branch. So I'm going to zoom out. And now I am going to go ahead and move this over my other space, other screen. I highly recommend having 2 screens if you have that opportunity to build Epanet models. So the KMZ shows this next pipe continuing to the left and then turning up. I don't want to put too many vertices in a pipe, just a few to make it take the general shape. This next vertex, the first thing I'm going to do is lay out the vertices on the Epanet to make it look similar to the KMZ. So the next branch is going to be up here, then it's going to continue up, it's going to take a turn, and there will be a branch up here. I'm going to adjust this down. Just to make space. There are some additional branches up. Go up here, over, here's the market, and then up here is the hospital. So now I'll draw these lines. So makes a sharp corner. Up to the branch to the school. And here's to the market. And here is to the hospital. This shape can be improved. I'll come back and improve it later, but I want to go ahead and add other branches. The next one goes down to kiosk, Mutyambua kiosk from this point. It's also a good idea to put nodes in places that could become future branch points. So if you go down past here, this could be a good future branch point. You come down further to where this road branches into a junction, that could be a good future branch point. And then you can go straight down. And you can always add new branch points later as well. So branch point, and then comes down. So that one branch point, another branch point, and then the last kiosk there. Okay, so let me check. How's my shape? Let me go ahead and move this over to my other screen and just adjust my shape to get it looking good. Add vertex to make it bend after the fact. Okay, that looks good. There's a little bend here as well, but you don't have to put every vertex in. You can also use your mouse to scroll in and out. Just be careful not to lose your layout while you do that. I still need to add. Lost my layout there for a minute. Zoom in there. This actually comes up a little bit. Again, it doesn't have to be exact, just an estimate. Ends up more like that. You do want to make your adjustments to your layout early on while you're building it, if you're going to make these types of adjustments. Because the more you add to your system, the harder it is to adjust afterwards. Okay, I think I'm going to be done now. I'm just trying to make the relative segments of pipe, make them match the KMZ. Like this pipe is one of the longer segments, so I want to make it longer than this one and this one. Like that. So shift it over. Create a little more space. There I am. Okay, I think that's good enough. And now I'll finish by adding the remainder of the tap stands. So the Toonie tap branches up here. It's not that far. primary school tap branches over here. Short branch. Hospital tap is right up here. Market tap. I want to create room for, I'm going to eliminate this vertex here. Even though it does turn in the actual KMZ, there's just not enough space right there to make the turn and to add the actual tap. So do it like that. Make the valve turn in. So it still looks similar. Still very easy to know this is the market tap when you look at the KMZ versus the Epanet. Now I'll add my tap valves. And my last tap is out here. Now, actually, I will make an adjustment. You can see this last tap turns off the road into this area, and in the future you might be able to continue and add another tap. It's up to you if you want to add another pipe turning off of this main, or you can just save that for the future. So I'm actually going to save that for a future edit of this file and just go ahead and put the tap stand here like that. So now let's check my map and see if it looks the same. I think it looks very similar. So now I'm going to add my labels. Tank. And I want to keep my labels short. I don't need to use the full name because you want to be able to see everything clearly. And I also would encourage using short names on the KMZ file as well, just to keep things clear. This is a community tap. The community taps I'm not going to label as community taps. It can be assumed. Unless it has an institutional name on the tap, it's a community tap. Actually, this is called Mutyambua. It, hospital. Now, I think maybe the labeling can be improved, and maybe the numbering could be improved to just make things clear. But these are the labels for now. Mutyambua. Yes. Okay. So there's girls school tap, primary tap 3, primary tap 2. The strange thing is I don't see any tap 1s. But that's not important. We can update the actual labels. Oh, this is a tap 1. So this is tap 1, this is tap 2, this is tap 3, and then that's for the school taps, those numbers. Okay, so we've now finished our layout. The next thing would be to start putting in the pipe characteristics, but this video is just about showing you the layout. So in the next video, I am going to show how do we add additional taps once we've completed our original layout. It's very simple, but I'll show that in the next video.